The Green Bay Packers just revealed a real problem with the offense. I'm going to break that down for you guys in this video. But first, I want you guys to leave your comments and let me know who you thought had the most disappointing performance in the preseason opener against Cleveland. It could be an individual player or a unit, but please leave your comments. I love reading through them. I'm going to let you know who I thought had the worst performance on the Packers. And quite frankly, this is going to be the real problem with the offense. It wasn't Bo Melton's drop passes. It wasn't A.J. Dillon's lackluster performance. To me, the most glaringly obvious problem with this is going to be the offensive line. I'm not talking about the starters. I think the starters are going to do just fine, but to say that there's not going to be any injuries across the offensive line throughout the season is not realistic. We're going to have to rely on our backups, and really, there just was a lack of consistency, poor run blocking. So there were some leaky sieves, a lack of edge to our backups, and quite frankly, the most disappointing performance for me was glaringly obvious. It was Kadeem Tolar. Kadeem Tolar, yes, he is raw. He is young. I don't expect a ton out of this dude. However, he just did not look good at all. He looked like he lacked range of movement. He was slow. He was easily manipulated by the defense. Anytime you saw anybody getting into the backfield, it was more than likely coming from our right tackle or our left tackle. And that is a big problem in this league. You have to have and rely on your tackles to be able to get out there and perform, especially when you're protecting the quarterback. Look at the depth chart of Green Bay and what we're working with. Of course, we were without our starting right tackle, Zach Tom, and our projected starting right guard, Jordan Morgan. We were also without Donovan Jennings, one of our backup guards, who I'm actually looking forward to seeing out there. I think this dude has a little bit more under his belt to go out there and not get pushed around and look as young and as raw. But starting at left tackle, we're going to have Rasheed Walker, who I've already made a video about. I think Rasheed Walker is going to have a very, very good year. I think he's going to have, quote unquote, a breakout year to where he's going to become glaringly obvious, a good tackle in this league. To label him one of the better tackles in this league is way too early and too young to do that. But you see the potential there with Rasheed Walker. And then you got to rely on, if there is an injury, you've got Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard, I thought, looked terrible. He was penalized in this game along with Royce Newman, but I did not think Andre Dillard it looks any bit the part of a first round pick. Obviously, that's why he bounced around from team to team. But Andre Dillard is certainly not going to be a long-term solution or even a short-term solution, in my opinion. I think the Packers really need to address that problem. And then starting at left guard, you've got Jenkins, I feel one of the best guards in the league. So that's not a problem. But if he suffers or sustains an injury, you've got Royce Newman. Royce Newman, when he was penalized in the game, but when that is one of your better backups, that's a problem, because Royce Newman, I don't think, should really even make the 53-man roster. But there's really no, I don't see any other solutions. He is going to be making that 53-man roster. Then you've got Josh Myers at center, who Shawn Ryan, and we're going to address that here in a moment, but Shawn Ryan has been wanting to either start somewhere, whether at right guard or left guard. He's shown versatility there, and he's also shown versatility at center. Shawn Ryan looked good. And I expected that from him. I think he's our best backup for sure. He might even be the starter ahead of Jordan Morgan. Time is going to tell there. But then you got Jacob Monk, obviously our draft pick there. Jacob Monk, I thought looked decent. He looked good. You can tell he's young, he's raw, and if you have to lean into him early on in the season, that's going to become a problem. He's just too young, too raw yet. He was getting bullied around at times. If you take a close look at Jacob Monk, but you see the potential there in Monk, and I think that's going to be a very nice pickup for the Packers. At time, it's going to take a year or two to develop that. Then at starting quote unquote starting right guard, you've got Jordan Morgan or Shawn Ryan. That's going to be a fight between the two, but the depth is there at right guard. You can see it. And then you got Donovan Jennings, who I'm curious what that dude is going to look like and what we're going to see out of him. And then starting right tackle, you've got Zach Tom. Of course, I feel he's one of the better tackles in the league, and that dude is versatile. He can play anywhere on the line if you need him to. And then backup, you have Kadeem Tolar, who that certainly is not going to be a long-term solution. So is Luke Tenuta that guy? I don't know, but the problem is that is not good when we're trying to think who's going to be the backup, and there's really no solidified solution as to who the backups are, unless we see otherwise in the performance against the Broncos upcoming. This is a real problem with the offense, and that is what we're looking at from the backup. So when you look at what Shawn Ryan and the article that was put out about Shawn Ryan, let's take a look at that article right here. So it says that, and Packer Wire put it out, that offensive line Shawn Ryan impresses at center while competing for a starting right guard spot. Obviously, he's competing for that starting right guard spot. It says right here that with Jordan Morgan sidelined with a shoulder injury, Ryan was named at the starting right guard in his absence. While Ryan did a solid job in the 15 snaps at right guard, that's not where he spent most of the time on the field in Cleveland. He also played 33 snaps at center, a spot where the team is hoping to find a primary backup to Josh Myers. Obviously, you saw Monk playing center too in training camp, and they're just trying to find that really good solid backup. While Shawn Ryan aimed to solidify his case as the starting right guard, he ended up making a strong impression with his performance at center. Adam Stenavich said, I thought he did a good job. That's not an easy thing. It's pretty rated being able to go out there and make calls, snap the ball to the quarterback without any exchange issues, things like that. I was happy with what I saw. And that's what you're going to get out of Shawn Ryan. You're going to get versatility with him, and that's what the dude shows. So I think Shawn Ryan is obviously a very good starter or backup for the Packers, and to be determined who wins that starting right guard position. But Andre Dillard, again, this dude is had a bad performance. He's been 6 years in the league. I just don't see this dude being a long-term solution, even a band-aid fix out there. If you have to rely on him, to me, he's a third string guy. He's somebody that is going to be on the practice squad that you have to call up and lean into. Royce Newman, again, he looked like one of the better backups for us, but that's not saying much. He was penalized in the game. Royce Newman, of course, is one of those guys that came into OTAs, came in to a mini camp and training camp, looking like this dude might not make the 53-man roster. In fact, he personally took a pay cut to help solidify his position on the 53-man roster. And quite frankly, with what I saw in the preseason opener, I don't see a world where Royce Newman doesn't make the starting lineup. So when we start talking about the offensive line and just their lack of drive, their lack of push, you think of that drive when it was giving the rock to AJ Dillon 3 times in a row, and he wasn't able to get a yard. He wasn't able to gain a yard, and that Adam Stenavich said, "Hey, there's a lower pad level across the board that was a problem on our O line and with AJ Dillon." And that's something they're going to have to address. But you shouldn't have to be addressing that with AJ Dillon, a veteran in the league. Obviously, some of these guys on the O line are incredibly raw. So when we start talking about who is out there and is there a fix? So who are the free agents, the best free agents out there available? Let's take a look at who's available. Best remaining offensive tackle free agents. You've got Donovan Smith, who's not a bad option. You got David Bakhtiari. Who knows what's going on there with his injuries? You got DJ Humphries, Jason Peters. Jason Peters is he's too old. I think he's 42 years old. Billy Turner, Riley Reef. Even getting a guy like Riley Reef, who's bounced around. He's been in Detroit. He's been in Minnesota. He doesn't look great, but he would be a decent option to our backups. At least you got to get a veteran presence in there, I feel, on the offensive line, at least in the interim, just in case there are injuries. But I want you guys to leave your comments and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Who had the most disappointing performance, and should we go and get one of those veteran presences out there as a backup offensive line and a quick fix to the problem that is glaringly obvious with our offense? Leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, go Pack Go.